Hey there, you had commented on the complete gut healing program. And I wanted to send this out this week because it's the last week to get into this program where you get the opportunity to purchase the lab, a GI map test, and receive a full healing protocol plus 3 follow-up calls with me. This is the first time I've offered this kind of package. And honestly, it's gone over like hotcakes. But sometimes we're like, I don't actually understand what I'm getting with this. And so that's what this video is. And if you have questions from this, you can comment on the video and or you can reply to the message that I sent you. But I'm going to walk you through this lab and kind of point out what the GI map test is, what it tells us, and what we will use it for in creating your healing protocol. My guess is that you have some sort of gut issue that you feel stuck with and or a combination of hormonal symptoms. So we're going to go through one of my old GI map tests. And I'm going to kind of walk you through what they look like, what I would do from this test, what it would look like for you, and to hopefully clear up any confusion or wondering what the heck would I be purchasing. So the first page here is a pathogen page. This just tells us, is there things like C. diff or E. coli or salmonella? If you've had food poisoning in the past and noticed that your gut was just never the same, sometimes we'll still see remnants of that food poisoning inside of this test. Now, other times we'll see parasites, we'll see viral pathogens. If this comes up on here, sometimes I'll refer you to your doctor with this test, and then they might need to provide you with some antibiotics if it's still a lingering food poisoning type of situation. It's very rare that I ever see anything on this part, but sometimes we do. Okay, and then we get to this part here. This is the H. pylori. You may have heard of this bacteria strain, maybe not. It is a common strain that I see in many people. You can see that I had a result here that was high. It was flagged as high. Also, when I'm reading these, just because it's flagged as high doesn't always mean it's necessarily something that we need to pay attention to or go after. And sometimes, even if it's not flagged as high, it's still giving you enough symptoms where we actually do go after this strain of bacteria. So there's nuance here in each test. But H. pylori is very common. It's whether or not it causes issues or not. It is one that I commonly see causing food sensitivities, bloating, constipation, and feeling like food is sitting in your stomach too long, and reflux. So it generally slows down the gastrointestinal system and makes things just feel very slow and sluggish. And then that's why you have symptoms like food sensitivities, bloating, reflux, and constipation. Now, just because you have those symptoms doesn't mean that you have H. pylori. So we want to be really clear that symptoms doesn't indicate that actual problem. There's other bacteria on here, and those all require different kinds of herbals and supplements and healing protocols to eradicate or get that bacteria to be lower. So this one, I had a high amount, so we know H. pylori is a problem. So I keep that in my back pocket, knowing like we need to find some herbals that will go after H. pylori. And then we go into the keystone bacteria. So keystone commensal bacteria, this is your good bacteria. This is the bacteria that is like your army that fights off the bad guys, keeps the flora really healthy and happy. That being said, an overabundance of commensal bacteria isn't necessarily a good thing either. We want to just have a normal amount. So looking at the green in here is where we want to see most commensal bacteria. Sometimes we'll see it be very low. That's very frequent for antibiotic users, even antibiotic users as in childhood. We can see that still in adulthood. And sometimes we can even see an overgrowth of commensal. And it's like, why is your body creating more and more good bacteria and it's not necessarily helping? It could be causing more issues. This is why just taking a probiotic for gut issues doesn't necessarily help many people. And you can see many of mine are actually on the high end of the range. And it makes complete sense for me because actually whenever I add in a probiotic, I end up with worse symptoms. I actually end up with constipation. So I have to be really picky and choosy on which probiotics I have in my regimen, if any at all, because my flora is actually quite abundant. And probably because my flora tries really hard to fight its fight on its own. And so it gets a little bit overzealous. And then we go into opportunistic bacteria, and this would be the bad bacteria. We're always going to have bad bacteria in our gut. It's just whether it causes issues or not, and whether it becomes overgrown or not. So you can see I have 3 strains in here that are high. And typically when we're in this area, we're looking at the small intestine and the overgrowth of bacteria in the small intestine. And this is what we could classify or we could associate with SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. This is where bloating comes in, again, constipation, gas, reflux, feeling like you just gain 2 pant sizes after eating specific foods. That's because this bacteria is producing a lot of gas and it's making you feel uncomfortable. It's slowing most things down. Now, I talk a lot about slowing things down because about 75% of people will have slowing down symptoms. About 25% of people will have fast symptoms. So that might be diarrhea type of symptoms. It goes really quick. And, or you can swing in between both of those, right? It's not just this, it's an if and or what, but type of situation. It can be all of them. And then we also are able to see, are there autoimmune related bacteria in here? And that can really be kind of just an awareness flag of being like, do you already have an autoimmune condition, something like Hashimoto's or Raynaud's? And do we have bacteria that could be contributing to that as well? Because if so, we want to make sure that we're lowering that amount of bacteria so we're not exasperating and creating more inflammatory type of conditions with autoimmune conditions as well. We're also able to see, is there presence of fungi or yeast? I often see Candida, and Candida can be kind of a very uncomfortable bacteria to deal with. It causes a whole lot of issues, a lot of skin issues specifically. And once we can get rid of that Candida, you just feel a whole lot better. We also can see different viruses, cytomegalo, Epstein-Barr. Those are pretty rare, to be honest. Parasites, you would be surprised how often we find a little parasite in here. And this can happen from travel, frequent travel, traveling outside of the country recently, eating undercooked or raw foods. I mean, I love some sushi, but let's be honest, things can grow. So this will show us, are there any parasites in here that are causing issues as well? I don't have a parasite on this test, but I have tested positive for a parasite. It was before this test, I believe, and, re-eradicated it. And I honestly felt so much better. That they can be rather uncomfortable. We can also find worms. And then we are able to see intestinal health markers. This really tells me, why do you have the symptoms that you're having outside of the bacteria issue? So this tells me the enzymes and the acids that you're creating within your stomach so that you can break down your own foods. If you're having trouble breaking down fat, this will be abnormal. If you're having trouble breaking down protein, this will be abnormal. It tells me specifically what kind of support does your gut actually need right now to break down the foods to allow your body to heal. This is a great supportive way. We also have beta-glucuronidase, and this is where I can see how well are you detoxing your estrogen. If your beta-glucuronidase is up here, we know you're not detoxing estrogen and you're recycling it back in. And so we'll want to make sure and support specifically with liver support, hormonal support, so that you're detoxing estrogen. And then occult blood, is there any blood in your stool? And then your immune system response. Sometimes I have people with immune system response that are actually really high because your body is trying really hard to fight off whatever is growing. And we can have really slow, sluggish immune systems like mine, where we've been fighting a fight for a while inside and we actually need immune system support. This is really important to know because I don't want to give immune system support to somebody who has an overzealous immune system. I want to give them very calming support to help calm down that immune system, because we're going to go in and we're going to help that immune system out. But if my immune system, like me, is like, losing battle, my flag is up, I need some help here, we're going to put in immune system support. Anti-gliadin IgA, this tells me a little bit closer to understanding your food sensitivities and where they are possibly coming from. Usually inflammatory type of foods, and specifically gluten will come up on this one. And then EAP is another one that just tells me how inflamed are we and how how overzealous is our immune system. And then calprotectin is a direct inflammatory marker, and that will tell me how inflamed not only is the GI system, but also is your entire body. Will come up on here too and tell us, do we need some anti-inflammatory support? That helps direct me on what kind of nutrition would be best for you during our healing phases. What kind of foods do we want to take out? What kind of foods do we want to put in? And we will put that directly into your protocol so you know exactly what to be eating, what to be eating less of, and also making sure we're eating enough foods to be able to have a body that heals itself. Because if we're not giving our body raw material to heal, then we're not going to heal, right? Our body can't just make up healing out of thin air. It has to have raw material, AKA food. And then we add in any supplementation that will help eradicate the overgrowth of bacteria, also provide support for the healing as well. So you get nutrition support, you get supplementation support, you also get nervous system support, because again, the body cannot heal without raw material and without the feeling of a safe environment. So your nervous system, your brain, is directly connected to your gut. And we have to have that communication pathway going from here and to here, that things are good here. When your gut internally is amok and not feeling great, it's going to send the signal to your brain, things aren't good here. And your brain, AKA nervous system, is going to perceive a whole lot more stress in your day-to-day just because your gut isn't doing well. And it doesn't mean that anything is actually changed in your day-to-day. It just means that your perception has lowered. And then we have the part where we want our brain, the nervous system up here, to be like, it's cool, I got this. You can heal internally. I have managed things. Our environment is safe. And when we're able to manage our stress and understand our stress better, and we're able to give our nervous system tools so our body feels safe, calm, and regulated, healing happens. But when our nervous system is not regulated and it's distorted and dysregulated and it feels chaotic, it's really hard for the body to feel safe enough, because it's basically just trying to keep its head above water. It's like, let's just get through this and get through this and get through this. And that's not how healing happens. That's just us keeping our head above water and treading water and trying to not drown. But we want to give ourselves a lot of leeway up here above the water so that our body feels safe to be able to heal and to be able to give the resources to our body and our GI system to be able to heal. So it's a full spectrum way to look at this, a holistic way to look at this: nutrition, supplementation to help the gut heal, and then also nervous system regulation. So I hope that this clarified any questions or any wondering how this would actually help you. If you have specific questions, again, you can reply to this video underneath the Loom video, or you can send me a message and I'm happy to help you as well. The complete gut healing protocol, the last day to purchase that will be February 28th. And you can also use HSA and Flex to purchase that as well. All right, my friend, I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.